Welcome back everyone to 3D modeling a Hobbit Door scene with Blender 2.9 and Adobe Photoshop. Alright, so one thing I'm noticing is I'm just looking at this and I'm just going to see if I bring it out a little bit, and I think actually it's going to look better a little bit bigger. And it also means that you can see that this in the inside of here, well, we could get away with it, or we could make it a little bit bigger. I think I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. So what I'll do is I'll press Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift A, and we'll just bring in another cylinder. It's already on 20 because I've not reloaded my scene or anything like that. RX, spin it round, S, make it smaller, just so it comes to the outside of here. So I need to make it bigger, something like that. I think it's absolutely fine. And then again, I'm going to click on my wood, add modifier, and let's add in another Boolean. Everything's the same, click on it, hover over it, Control A, and then let's click on our cylinder and delete it. And yeah, I think that looks so much better. It really fits it better. It was a little bit too small and looked a little bit too dinky. All right, so now let's work on our stone steps. So first of all, let's bring one in. We'll put the cursor to the world origin. So Shift S, cursor to world origin, Shift A, and let's bring in a simple cube. Let's make it smaller, so SZ. And then I'm going to pull this down to the bottom of the door. So I want the bottom of the door to be a tiny, tiny little gap. Then I'm going to press S and X and just pull it out just to the edge of here. Finally then, I need to bevel these off and think, how much of a step do I want at the top? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Tab, Face Select, grab this top face, pull it back a little bit, and I think I'll bevel it off now. So press Tab to go into object mode, Control A to reset all transforms, right click, set origin to geometry, and now what we'll do is press Tab, Edge Select, and we'll just grab this edge, and then I'm going to press Control B to actually bevel it off like so. And I'm just looking, I think that it needs to be definitely pulled up a little bit, so I'm going to grab the bottom face, pull it up a little bit, and then obviously I'm going to grab the back, I'm going to pull that back a little bit, and now I'm just making sure that it fits. And now what I want to do is I want to bring in our steps. And to do that, I would like a clean viewport. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Tab, come over to the right hand side, and you'll see it says Scene Collection. Right click on it, and let's click New Collection. Now let's come down, click on this collection. Make sure that you're in object mode, so you can see whether you're in object mode over here. Press Shift A, and you're going to bring in a circle. Now the circle should appear in our collection 3, which means now I can come over where you've got this little eye and just hide that out of the way, and there we go. Now I do have this, which is a stained glass hummingbird SVG. I don't need that. I've already made my window, so I'm going to right click and just go down to where it says delete, and now I should just have these in here. Now let's come to our circle. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, like so. I'm going to press Tab. I'm going to grab the outside of it, of the edge. So let's come up to Edge Select. I'm going to press E, Enter, S, and just bring it in. And why we're bringing it in is we're going to use one of these pieces as the steps. So if I go over the top now, wherever you want the step to start from, that is the one you should use. So I want my step to be flat against the door here, and then start coming down here like so, like a spiral. So I'm going to pick this step. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this off from the rest of these. So I'm going to press Y, and then I'm going to grab the rest of these. So I'm going to click on one of these, press L, and it should select every one but this one that splits off. Press Delete, Vertices, and you should be left with this. Next thing we need to do is we need to just bring this down a little bit. So I'm going to grab it, I'm going to press E, and just make it more of a step. We don't need to look at how thick or anything like that we want to make at the moment. We just want some visual to actually work with. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to press Tab. I'm going to make sure that my cursor is in the center. So Shift S, cursor to world origin, Shift A, and we're going to bring in an actual empty. So bring in a plane axis, empty, and we're going to use this to actually create this spiral steps. Now let's come back to our steps. Control A, all transforms, right click, set origin to geometry, and now come over to where the spanner is on the right hand side, add modifier, and we're going to add in an array. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I want to turn off the relative offset, constant offset on, object offset on, and then if now we open the object offset, we want to basically use this actual empty. So if I come down, grab my pipette, click on my empty, you'll notice that this happens at the moment. And the reason is I actually reset the orientation and I shouldn't have put it actually here. So I'm just going to reset that back to the center where this actual empty is. So right click, set origin to 3D cursor, and that will happen. And that's exactly what we want. Now let's turn up the count. So we're going to turn it up a fair bit to start with, something like 9 or 10. And then what you're going to do is you're going to grab your empty, you're going to press R and Z, and you'll notice now that you have a spiral coming out like so. Now this is where our steps are going to go down, and what you can do now is just pull this down, and you'll see now you end up with a beautiful spiral staircase, and that's exactly what we want. Now we can see that I'm not sure if I want it going out so far. I think I want it just coming to the halfway point, but what I'll do first of all is get it into place, and then I'll have a much better idea of where I actually want this. So let's come over to where it says collection and actually turn that eye back on and bring that back in. And now let's move these into place. Now you can't move it by grabbing the empty or the steps, you need to grab both of them. So we'll grab both and then we'll pull them out like so. Oops. With the green arrow. And now you can see they're way too small, so let's make them bigger. So I'm going to press S. And then I'm going to pull them into place. So they need to come down a little bit, as you can see. And we're just getting them into place. Once we've done that, then we can work on how big or small we actually want them. So I noticed the first thing is that this is not down enough. So I'm just going to grab this and pull it down a little bit. And I'm going to make these thicker as well. They're way too thin at the moment. And I need to put them underneath this step. So what I'll do first is I'll grab this and the empty and pull it down so it's under. And then let's make them thicker. So to do that, I'm going to grab the steps, press tab, come into face select, grab the bottom, and because we're using the array modifier, anything we do to this top step will actually be carried over on to all of these arrayed. And then you can see that I need to bring this down further. So tab, bring it down, and now we can see we're starting to get somewhere. All right, so now let's bevel this step off here. So again, grab your steps, come in, you grab these two edges, Control B, and let's just bevel them off a little bit. Now, of course, I don't want them a massive gap in here. What I want to do is actually bring them out a little bit first, I think. So we'll actually press Control Z and not bevel them off quite yet. We'll come to face select, grab this face, and then to pull them out, you'll notice if I pull this out at the moment, it's actually pulling out along the y-axis. And we don't really want that because this here is not in line with this y-axis. So to fix that, we'll come up to where it says global, come down to where it says normal, and then you'll see that we can now pull it out on the right actual axis, following where this step is. Now, I think this is looking much better. I do think that maybe I want to pull these out a little bit, so I'm going to grab the back and I'm going to pull it out a little bit just to get them more in line. And now finally I'm going to bevel this off. So I'm going to grab each one of these. I'm going to press Control B and bevel them off like so, just so they nearly go back and touch in there. And now if I press Tab, I'm really happy with that. So you can see now when we've got grass on this side and this side, you can see what the steps are actually going to look like. All right, so I'm really happy with that. So what we'll do on the next one is we'll mark our seams and then we'll bring in the rock material like we've done for this arch. Okay, everyone, so I hope you enjoyed that and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.